Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. This episode is brought to you by Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an all-natural, modernized Ayurvedic supplement company that focuses on exact issues. My favorite is their mood formula. Their mood formula is especially for your brain, the gut-brain connection, and helping you just feel happier in your day-to-day life. It was founded by Guni, the founder of Ayurveda, who was on Highest Self podcast after losing his brother and dealing with crippling depression and anxiety. And his father, an Ayurvedic practitioner, gave him these herbs to help heal him. And there we have Ayurveda. So you can get it for 35% off by going on Ayurveda, YOUVEDA.com. Use the code Sahara and you'll receive 35% off. Now, I am so excited for you to dive into today's episode, because the guest on today's episode, when I recorded this, she was a friend. I had done some Akashic Records sessions with her before, but it was still pretty new to me and I was still learning about it. But since then, we recorded this episode a few months ago now, and she's truly become a sister to me. And I mean this in the most literal way, because we found out that we actually were past lives sisters. Both of us separately saw it, and she actually asked me. So I ended up doing her Akashic Records Practitioner training and now am myself an Akashic Records Practitioner. But in the training, she, when I was tapped into the records, asked me how we knew each other. And it just came to me that she was my sister. And she said, was I your older or younger sister? And I knew she was my older sister. And she had seen it too. And she wanted to see if I remembered. And it was crazy. We had a lot of memories really together. And before, I thought the Akashic Records were something that, like, I don't know, you were just born with this gift and you either had it or not. And I thought it was amazing that she had it. Even when I recorded this episode, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And now I see that it's something that we can really all tap into. And really what it comes down to is trust. Trusting the voice that comes within, trusting that, you know, our subconscious whisper is no less than another person's, and seeing that guru, that psychic, that healer that you're looking for really exists inside of you. So in this episode, I sit with Daniela Gil of Love Create Beauty on Instagram. She is an incredible just light, and she is very connected with the Akashic Records. We talk a lot about what the Akashic Records are. If you're like, wait, what are you even saying right now? We talk about what the Akashic Records are. Basically, they are this higher body of all things that have ever happened, will ever happen, and give us the answers based on pure potentiality. And really, in layman's term, is they help us get clear. They help us get clear and answer from a broader view, because oftentimes we are living our lives in the day-to-day that we can just get stuck. Like, imagine you're like playing a game of chess, right? Imagine you are the pawn. Well, all you're thinking about is, should I move left? Should I move right? What's the next move? Whereas when you are the player of the chess game, you can see everything. You can see where all of the different little pods are, and you can move it, and you can look at things from a broader perspective. And that's really what the Akashic Records do. They help you get out of your own story, get out of your own shit, basically, and look at things from a bird's eye view. And the Akashic Records are not like, you know, opinionated. They're not going to tell you like, who am I going to marry? What year am I going to have a baby? They're not it's not a psychic at all. It basically just helps you get clear on what you truly know inside of yourself. So I learned so much from doing the teacher training one-on-one with Daniela Gil, and she seriously helped me. Just, there were things that were bothering me before, like things that, you know, I would deal with every day, and I'm like, oh, no, that's just like things that you deal with in life. And then through playing with the Akashic Records, tapping into them, asking myself questions, channeling through, you know, I've always been channeling. I talk about channeling, but doing it in like a more formal way of like asking myself a question and then answering from my normal perspective, and then tapping into the Akashic Records and then asking myself the same question, I would see that I had given totally different answers. And the answer that I would give from my own intuition was very matter of fact. It was, a lot of the mind involved, a lot of the like, okay, really, what should I do? What is the advice that, a lot of times you're doing stuff and you should be doing something else. But when I tapped into the Akashic Records and I gave myself the advice, I looked at it from a totally different angle, from a very, higher perspective of like getting out of like, okay, what is going to be the 1 month repercussion, the 1 year repercussion, and looking at things of the lifelong, the multidimensional, even past this life. So I'm very excited for the gift of this episode to really be bestowed to you. And in this episode, Daniela taps into the records live for us. And I ask her some questions about just for all of us, for global consciousness, what is the planet going through? How can we awaken to become our highest selves? Things that all of us are dealing with. And she answers from the Akashic Records. So you get to experience a little bit of it here. And if you are looking for a book on the Akashic Records, I recommend picking up one of Linda Howe's book, Howe. She has a book called like reading the Akashic Records and healing with the Akashic Records. She's like an Akashic Records specialist. So I definitely recommend reading her book if this is something that interests you. And just knowing and trusting that you have so much wisdom inside of yourself, so much knowledge inside of yourself. And it's not something that certain people are born with. It's not something that you had to be given by a guru. It's that little voice of intuition. And really all it takes to access the Akashic Records is saying either this specific, prayer or offering really that Linda Howe outlines in her books, which you could also find online. If you just Google like Akashic Records prayer, you can find it. But it's not just the prayer. I noticed like if you don't believe in it and you just say it just for the sake of saying it, and you're like, I don't feel anything, it's not going to do it. It's so much more of a vibrational thing. And it's getting into a certain space, a certain vibration where you are allowing source to move through you. And you're not responding from what you think you should be, what the mind is saying, what the ego is saying. You're actually letting go of all forms of knowledge that you have about a specific situation and only answering straight from source. And, I was a little bit skeptical that I could do it. I knew that she was doing it, but I didn't think that I could do it. And this is like a longer prelude, but I just want you guys to kind of have the after picture too. But when we were tapping into the record, she asked a question to me about her personal life. She's like, what is like my brother like? And I've never met her brother. I really don't know anything about her family. And I saw an image of him and I was able to tell her exactly what he was like, what their relationship was like. I saw him, I could feel his presence, and she was like, that's spot on. That's exactly what's going on. I mean, I even knew that he was younger than her, and I don't know, how could I have known this information? I did not know anything about her family, but I just said what came to mind and I trusted it, and I didn't judge myself. I didn't think, oh my God, if this is wrong, I'm going to seem like an idiot. I just said it and it ended up being accurate. And I really believe it's when we just allow ourselves to surrender into saying what it is that, it's on the tip of your tongue and you really want to say it, but you're not really sure if it's the right thing to say. Just trust, and it is the right thing. And, sometimes in life, and I've noticed this now that I've been playing with the records for a couple months now, I'll say things to someone who may not be ready for it. Like I met this girl and I basically overheard a conversation she was having and I just butted into the conversation. And I was like, hey, I just overheard you say this. And I noticed that you said you were a writer and you're struggling with it. And I just want to tell you that everything's going to work out and you're going to write a book and it's going to change the world and everything with your family is going to change and you got this. And she sort of like looked at me like, okay, like you're weird. And like suddenly got this energy of like, oh my God, why did I say that? She's so like not open to me saying that and she doesn't want to hear it. And I'm such an idiot. Why did I even say something? And then a week later, she found me again. She's like, thank you so much for saying that. I ended up writing like the first 8 chapters of my book. And I would have never even thought about that if you didn't say it. So when you have this desire to just say something to someone, someone and you don't even know why, even if it's a stranger, and you may come off as crazy, you may come off as like weird. And I'm not talking about really negative things. Like, don't go up to someone and tell them something like, I feel like something's bad's going to happen to you. No, don't say that. But if you see something in someone, you see potential in someone, you get an inkling of what someone could be really good at, say it to them, because maybe they don't see it right at that moment, but at a certain point they will. And they're going to always remember that person who just came up to them and said something. And, a lot of us have had experiences of someone telling us, maybe when we were in a really dark place in our life, someone said, you know what, you're going to be a healer one day. And at the time you were like, oh my God, I'm a healer. I can't even heal myself. And then years later, when you became that healer, you remember that person who saw that in you and you didn't even see it in yourself. So why do we tap into the records? Why is this episode important? Why is any of this stuff important? So we can shift the vibration of this planet. We don't heal ourselves. We don't raise our vibration to keep it in a glass jar and not share it with anyone else. We do it so we can serve, so we can uplift, so we are bright with light, so filled to the brim that it is impossible to contain it. Every person that we come across, we want to just serve them a dish of this delicious, juicy light. And that is what we are here to do. That is what this episode, all purpose, all humanity is really all about. Just being the most radiant version of yourself so it inspires other people to be the most radiant version of themselves. So I'm so excited for you to learn more about the Akashic Records from Daniela Gil. And I highly recommend going to her workshops. You can do a reading with her. She does teacher trainings here in LA and in other places. You can get them on her website, which is over on the podcast show notes. And maybe we will do an event together. And that's the other thing I wanted to share, that I am going to be doing an event this August. Let me tell you the date. It is August 4th in Los Angeles in Abbot Kinney. It is my Doshas and Dharma live workshop. So in this workshop, it will be me teaching you how your dosha is related to your dharma, your life purpose, how you are born with the skills that you need to share, and how we can bring those skills out. So I'll be talking about self-care tips, wellness tips, meditation tips, all of the things that you need to do that are so deeply connected with your true purpose. So maybe you are meant to be an Akashic Records reader. Maybe you are meant to be a teacher, an author, an astronaut, whatever it is. We're going to be diving into really discovering what your purpose is in this workshop. And again, it's going to be on August 4th at 1 to 3 p.m. at Sage Wellness in Venice, LA. And you can get the tickets if you just go on consciouscityguide.com. You look up Sahara Rose, you'll find it. I also have a link to it in my Instagram bio, and there's also a link in the podcast show notes. So without further ado, let's invite Daniela Gil to the Highest Self podcast. Welcome, Daniela, to the Highest Self podcast. It's so good to have you here.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I've learned so much from you already in our last session together. And I've been really just anticipating today because there's so much I want to dive in with you. But the first question I want to ask you is, what makes you your highest self?
Love. Love, being in service, loving and uplifting others. I often think of the flower, the way the flower blossoms for everybody. It doesn't just blossom for itself, it blossoms for its beauty, to be admired by others, and for its fragrance, and for its nectar, for the bees and for the birds. And so that's what makes me my highest self, when I'm blossoming for others and serving others.
Beautiful. So the Akashic Records are something that a lot of us have heard of, don't really know about, and you are an expert in, you lead trainings in. So can you share with us a little bit about what these records really are?
Yes. So Akashic comes from the word Akasha, which is a Sanskrit word for ethers, or space, or sky. And I think of it as the void from which all life springs. It's creation before creation. It's like infinite possibility. And the Akashic Records are the subtle, energetic imprint of everything that's ever happened, everything that is happening, and everything that could happen. So it feels like a database. It's like a ton of information. It's like this library where you can find like every event that's ever happened, every thought, every emotion, everything that we've ever experienced, everything that we are experiencing, and everything that we could experience within the entirety of creation.
Beautiful. And for a lot of us, it's like, what? So is it written down somewhere? Is it a place? Like, how can you best describe what it is? Can you even describe that?
It does feel a little bit elusive when I try to describe it, but it's like a place within our own consciousness that we all have access to. So the way I experience the Akashic Records, every single time we have like intuitive insight, this is coming from the records. When we're creating, everything that's ever created comes from that void, from that nothingness. That's where all life springs from. So when we're tapped into this creative energy, we're tuning into the records, and it exists within us as an aspect of our psyche, of our consciousness that we all have access to.
I love that. And in Ayurveda, it's the 5 elements, and ether space is the one that's the highest up. And that's the one that's shared, that we are all tapped into that same space. And then it kind of turns into air, which is like creative ideas. And then that turns into fire, which is like action, and turns into water, which is like, you know, like creating it, and earth, which is like implanting it. It's like even an idea going through the chakras. It's really all the same. So that's when I think of the Akashic Records, it's like that pile of information that we're all just like tapping in from. Like, you know, 3 people have the same idea for a patent on the same day. Like that happens all the time. Or like poets, like the same poem will come out on the same day. It's not that they thought of it. It's like that poem was waiting to come down and was like tuning into a lot of people's consciousnesses. And like some people chose to move forth with that, and some people just kind of were like, and moved on, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit with us about what are practices or words that you can use to tune in?
So I use the Linda Howe prayer. I use a prayer to tune in. I think everybody has their unique way. What helps to tune in is to come into a meditative state where your consciousness is very expansive and you're very empty. So you're setting aside your personality, your beliefs, your ideas, your thoughts, your ego. You allow yourself to still all of that and in a sense set it aside so that you can become an open and receptive channel. So whatever it is that helps you come into that receptive meditative state.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to describe it. So you come into that state, and can you share with us what the prayer is? Or
Yeah. Should we open the records of our listeners?
Yes, let's do it. So we're diving into the records right now.
Okay. So the first part of the prayer is out loud. The second part is silent, and then I'll announce when the records are open. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, help me to know our higher self listeners in the light of the Akashic Records, to see our higher self listeners through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of our higher self listeners have for us. The records are now open.
Okay. I think a question that a lot of us have right now is, it's a really tumultuous political climate. And a lot of us are scared, angry, confused. How can we go about as spiritual beings that want the best for society while still not giving into the fear?
Trust. Trust in the brilliance and the intelligence of life. Life knows exactly what it's doing. The caterpillar, in order to emerge as a butterfly, must melt into total nothingness within the cocoon. It's total chaos, it's total confusion. This is the pathway that humanity has chosen, which is accelerating its transformation. We are shaking up a lot of the systems that we have in place that aren't working, like the political system, the financial system, the medical system, even the food industry, the educational industry. All of this right now is being shaken up. A lot of laws are being questioned and rewritten. A lot of our egoic tendencies, the me, the narcissistic type of behavior, the my group against your group, my race and that race, and this religion and that religion, all of that is falling away, and we're realizing how uncomfortable it is to buy into this idea of separation. It's becoming agonizing, and we're seeing it like it's right in our faces in our government. These ideas of domination, of not totally supporting one another, and it's coming to light. It's like we're purging it. It's coming to light so that we can realize, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. This isn't comfortable. And what feels right and good and comfortable is honoring our interconnectedness with all life, supporting, loving, uplifting one another, truly being there for each other, seeing everyone as an aspect, as an extension of you. Each one of us is like the separate cell of the same body. The health of one cell affects the health of all cells. We are so interconnected, we're all working together, and what you do to another affects you. So if you want to be radiantly healthy, then the other cell also has to be radiantly healthy. And at the end of the day, we're all one earth. What's happening politically is reminding us of this, and ultimately it's all a fleeting experience. By electing Donald Trump, we chose to move through this transformation at an accelerated rate. We're doing it quickly. Trust that life knows what it's doing. The same way life has this brilliance to it, and it knows how to turn a seed into a little sprout, into a tree that then bears fruit. Life is also running the political show, believe it or not. It is guiding us to where we want to go. And what is happening within humanity is that we have opted into this time of darkness, this time of amnesia. Everyone, when they come into a human body, agrees to some level of amnesia, of forgetting where they came from, where they're going, and the truth of who they are, so that they can fully buy into the drama and the play and the show of the human experience. We have cycles of time, of more darkness and of more light, and we are merging from the dark ages, so to speak, where we have forgotten our true nature, and we have forgotten that we belong to each other, and we have forgotten about the oneness of life, how interconnected we all are, and that our truth is love, and that our truth is infinite possibility. So we're arising from this forgetfulness, and this is the journey of that. It's the chaos. It's the chaos of the cocoon. We have to melt away all these old ideas, these outdated ideas. In many sense, that's what our government is displaying right now, these old, outdated ways of being, and they're on display for all to see, and all are seeing that it's not working, and that it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel right. And as we see that externally, it becomes a symbol for what is inside of us, and we are then better able to recognize this egoic type of behavior, this destructive behavior within us, so that we can face it inside and begin to dismantle it. Everything that's happening is a blessing. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. It is perfect beyond what the human mind can comprehend. You can trust in life, and the invitation through this message right now is to trust, to come into total trust, to have faith in yourself, to have faith in humanity, to have faith in spirit, the universe, God, life, whatever your word is for Source. Source has always been guiding this show, and you are always supported. And at the end of the day, it is merely an ephemeral experience. The truth of your being is your soul. Through all experiences, your soul remains untouched, whole, and complete, absolutely perfect.
Beautiful. So many just nuggets of wisdom and inspiration, and it's such a great reminder for all of us, because yeah, we can really get lost in it. And I think it's important to know that it's happening for a reason, but that reason is also for us to become active, right? Because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, it's happening for a reason, so let me just sit back and let it happen. But that reason is happening so you take action, you know, and like be more loving and speak louder. It doesn't mean to just sit back and like, you know, take a backseat in life.
Completely. Yes, it is activating all of us. And ultimately, love is the only real medicine for this sickness, this disease that we're seeing. And it is awakening our hearts in more and more inspiring and grander and larger ways.
So one thing that I want to ask from the records, and you touched in on, is knowing when something is difficult and not for you, and something is difficult, but you have to overcome it to get to where you need to go. How can you distinguish that?
They're showing that when it's not for you, it causes a contraction. Our sensitivity is so important. The more sensitive we become, the more tuned into our spirits we become, the easier it becomes to tell the difference, because it is a very subtle difference. When it's not for you, it's like they're showing this feeling of contraction, and you just feel it in your gut, and it's like you kind of want to turn away and you want to run away, and it could almost feel like self-abuse to run towards it or to dive into it. If we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not loving ourselves, if we're not taking care of each other and loving each other, it can be hard to decipher whether it's for us, because then we might want to run towards something that isn't for us because we're okay with these patterns of self-abuse. If it is for us, there's a feeling of like fear, but it's actually more of excitement. And it's like the contractive feeling is one that you know is actually an expansion. It's like a contraction followed by an expansion. You know that if you head towards it, it's like this opening feeling afterwards that actually feels thrilling and it feels exciting. And you might feel an excitement in your heart, like once you commit to doing it or commit to heading towards it, you might feel it in your heart. You might feel like this like sense of relief, even though it scares you. And the more you act in self-loving ways, the more you care for yourself and care for others and love others, the easier it is to tell when something is good for you, because you'll just naturally gravitate towards what is good for you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think we can all relate to those times that something was fearful for us, but we knew it was exactly what we needed to do, versus like, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I think what's hard is we see people doing a lot of things with social media. We see people living in such different ways. One person's traveling for a living and one person's a public speaker. And I think that we see so many possibilities that we don't even know what we want, you know? So how can we really know like our dharma, our soul's calling? How can we see the possibilities of things but know which one is best suited for us?
Wow. Practice listening to your own inner voice and to tapping into what is within, and allow yourself to cut away external influence. So ideas from society or from your family, from culture, from friends, from social media, or just the media, ideas from here that are projected onto you, like what is seen to be successful or what is seen to be the desired way to be. See if you can just completely release all of that and stop seeking external validation. Let it all go. Like they're bringing in this energy of just taking a deep breath, releasing all external stimuli, like just totally letting them go, and then tuning within and exploring what's there. It might not be what you think, and it might not look like what you think. And you can sense it because it just feels resonant. It feels like both of your feet are planted firmly down, and it feels strong when it's right for you and when it's good for you and when it's who you really are. And they're saying to practice discerning between external voices and internal voices, and more beginning to trust the internal voice.
So beautiful. And I can relate so much that grounding feeling of like when you found that thing, you just feel this like this feeling of like strength and support that you're like, yes, like I know even if I'm walking into the unknown, I will be guided through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like everything about it just feels so right.
Yes. So another question is, how can we stay spiritually grounded on our spiritual path and have like a relationship with like desires and like wanting success and money and these things that are part of life? What are the record's advice on like just like money and spirituality?
They're having fun with this question. I think they have a lot to say. Yeah, they have a lot to say on this. So they're like, desires are so much fun. And that's why you incarnated into human form, to have the human experience, which is laden with desires. And all of your desires desire you. Yes. So you can fully embrace them. There's a reason why you have, Spirit has planted these seeds inside of you of, I want this, or I have this vision, or this dream for my life. It's because it's actually good for you. And if it's good for you, then it's good for all. Of course, there are desires that are not, but the more we align with love, the more all of our desires just naturally are good for us and then good for all. And when it comes to money, they've spoken to me about money a lot. They like to say that money is love. Money is power. Money is energy. And a lot of the money that is flowing through the world right now is laden with the energies of greed, of scarcity, of lack, of manipulation, of making it through means of dominating others or taking from others, like violations. So this is the energy that money is carrying right now. The way that you make money transforms the energy of the money. So if you are bringing in money by offering value to the world in a way that is so loving, that comes from the unique talents and gifts of your heart, that is fulfilling and satisfying for you and uplifting the people around you, that is providing healing for others, that is providing something wonderful for others, then the money that you bring in has that. And as you recirculate money, they often say, they're like, you're not spending money. Stop thinking that you're spending money. The money is not disappearing. It's not like every time you spend money, you're actually recirculating it and you're giving it to someone else, saying, I support what you're doing. And this is my way of loving and appreciating your offering, and you're supporting that person's vision and that person's dream and that person's livelihood. And it's a really beautiful thing to recirculate money. So when we make money doing what we love and then we recirculate it really generously and we feel good about it, we're not like, oh my God, I have to spend this money on rent. No, we're just like, yes, I'm so happy to support this other human being, and we're spending it with love. That's really beautiful. And the people that, and also everything that we spend money on, we're energizing and we're amplifying. Totally. So the more conscious people, like spiritual people, have money, the faster the world heals. Yes. Money is so powerful. Like, we need to be circulating it through us because it's going to carry our essence and it's going to be transformed when we are making it benefiting the world and then recirculating it like just so generously and so lovingly.
Like, so many snaps right now. I couldn't agree more with that. And I think a lot of us spiritual healers, teachers, even just givers, empaths, we feel guilty about taking money. We are so used to that energy of greed attached to money that we think all money is that, because we've never experienced that money that's not. So, and then we set that vision on other people, like, oh, if you're a spiritual teacher, shouldn't you just offer everything for free, But then we don't realize that, like, by expecting that, then that person's not going to be able to do it full time. They're not going to be able to actually dedicate their life's work to it because, like 1,000 years ago, like the spiritual teacher of the community was donated everything. Even if you go to, Thailand or in India, like the monks, the sadhus, they're donated everything. They're given food, they're given homes, they're given everything. This is not the case now unless you're like a nun. So we have to provide for ourselves and we have to live normal lives. So I think it's important for us to like not expect just because someone's spiritual, they're going to gift you their talents. It's like, would you ever like ask your landlord like, oh, you have this space, can I just live there for free? Or like, would you tell your your doctor. So I just see this happening a lot. And then it creates this like spiritual healer guilt of like
Yes.
asking for energy, even though they're giving energy.
Yeah, and there's a lot with that. It's like when we give, we open ourselves to receive. So if someone is giving you money as a spiritual healer, they're opening themselves up to receive this spiritual healing. And it also, as a healer, it can be really disempowering to look at someone and say, oh, you can't afford this, let me give it to you for free. Right. There are means of making money. And sometimes as these healing arts practitioners, what's most empowering and what's best for them is to hold them in this vision of, I know that you can afford my services. And I totally trust that you can find a way and to offer value to the world in a way where you then receive the money to then reinvest into this.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I think we need to like prioritize where we spend our money. Like we're like, oh, I would never spend $200 on a healing, but a new pair of like Jordans come out and no question there, people are lined up to buy them. It's like, where are our priorities? Like there is enough money. Where are you just spending it? Like we don't question the fact that $2,000 shoes are normal in this society. Like people are buying them, but would you ever spend that money on your own, just like personal internal growth? Like probably not. So yeah, I think it's a really important subject because a lot of people listening are people who do want to do it full time. They do want to take that next step, and it's the money fear that's holding them back. So I think all of us as healers need to speak about this more. It needs to stop being a taboo subject, because that's how we can really create an industry and have more people come in and have more conscious people with money and like change that whole paradigm.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it'd be so transformative if we were all spending all of our money on like truly healing and transforming and uplifting ourselves and uplifting humanity, because that's at the forefront right now. That's what we need. If you watch the news, if you watch anything, I mean, even just walking out in public, like we're all asking for it. Humanity is ready for this healing, and it's far more important than the shoes we're wearing, perhaps.
Totally.
Like, it's really what's going to bring fulfillment and joy.
So another question I'd love to ask from the records is going into the soulmate twin flame question. From the perspective of Akashic Records, do soulmates and twin flames exist? Is this a label that we humans have added to try to understand relationships? What do they say?
They're laughing. They're saying it's a very fluid label and it's not as rigid as we have made it out to be. So the twin flame idea is that a soul has split into two and is now in two different bodies. But at the highest truth, from the highest perspective, we are all each other's twin flames because we are all one soul that has split. So that's really what's happening. But however, there are souls that, this is how they're showing what the twin flame thing is. Okay, they're showing soulmates as two souls who have like immense amounts of codes and gifts to share with one another. So when they meet, they might feel like extremely drawn to each other, like, whoa. And they're showing twin flames as two souls that have such a similar resonance that they feel like the same soul. And when you meet them, that person becomes your mirror and they amplify everything back to you. And meeting them is like accelerated growth and accelerated expansion. And it's like just a total whirlwind of like, whoa, because you're in a sense seeing yourself in someone else, and then you're interacting with yourself. It's an amplified mirror. That's what a twin flame is. But it's interesting. We can have that same resonance with a few people. It's very rare to have that deep of a resonance where it would qualify as what human beings call a twin flame. But to actually just have one twin flame, they're saying no. Or to just have one soulmate, they're saying no. But we could have chosen before we came into life, like, hey, so-and-so, I'm gonna like meet you on earth and then we're gonna spend our lives together. And then that's like, yeah, that's like almost like a predetermined partnership. Something like that can happen, and we can call it a soulmate or call it a twin flame or call it whatever we want.
So according to the records, does everyone meet their twin flame at some point?
They're saying it's not that you necessarily have just one. It's an amplified mirror, and the people who are meeting these amplified mirrors are souls who have asked for accelerated rate of growth and expansion, who really want to transform, and who really want like all of their like gook, like all of their stuff like brought to the surface so that they can heal at an accelerated rate.
But you can still heal at an accelerated rate without knowing this twin flame, or is this necessary?
Totally.
Okay.
Relationships are just amazing tools for healing and for growth and for transformation. They're saying that the twin flame relationship, it ultimately tends to be the love that's there tends to be actually love for humanity. So it's not even like a personal relationship as much as it becomes, let me awaken the love and the purity within you so that you can share it with all. And people who are meeting these like mirrors that we call twin flames tend to be people who are here to serve humanity in a big, major way.
I love that. So can it speak on soul contracts? Things that we have decided that we would do before incarnating. How is this kind of conducted, and how much is free will a part of it?
They're showing that there are so many different factors at play, and what they showed me was like a pencil that you can actually erase. It's almost like we do have these soul contracts and these intentions, but at times we can just head in a different direction, and we're not actually as bound by soul contracts as we think we are. However, the soul could have had a very, very clear intention before coming in, yet it is up to the soul once embodied whether it wants to follow through with that intention. And it's not only up to the soul is always being impacted by the people around it, by like the people around him or her, all the energies, all the friends, like all the decisions that not only that soul makes, but all the souls around it. So there's just so much happening that influences everything. And free will is a part of it, but there are different levels of free will. There's like the conscious human mind, but then there's also the higher self who's also doing a lot, and we're not always aware of what the higher self is doing. So like, yes, there's free will, but not always at the level of the conscious human mind. But the more we like wake up, the more we elevate our perspective, the more free will becomes more and more apparent to us, where we can like break through what might feel like a soul contract, or break through these like habits or patterns.
Like karmic bonds.
Yeah. Yeah, we transcend them really quickly and just move on to something else that maybe is more fun.
Love that. Yeah, I think it's hard to really know like how much is destiny and how much we are creating.
Yeah.
Are there any ways that the Akashic Records recommends feeling into like, yes, this is my divine assignment versus like, this is what I choose?
They're saying it's always both. It's like, because the higher self is also you. And in a sense, the higher self is the one that gives the divine assignment. It's just an aspect of you that you're not totally aware of or completely embodying right now, because you're embodying your human mind, your human consciousness. It just feels like everything has like an element of both.
And how can we sort of separate what is ours, our mental stuff, versus our highest self, like a soul assigned stuff?
The mental stuff often doesn't feel as clear. It can be a little bit more chaotic. They're showing it as like a result of conditioning. It often feels like a cage. It's based upon preconceived notions and ideas and what has been taught or told to you, or what already exists within your consciousness. Meanwhile, the soul-inspired is like a breath of fresh air. It just feels expansive, and it feels light, and it feels exciting, and it delights your heart, and you feel at ease in your body. You probably feel increased sense of freedom and just a lightness of being when you're working from there.
And what I was just receiving from while you were talking was the mind is reactive. The mind is just going to, this is what's going on and this is how to react. It's just trying to get you to that next step. whereas like the highest self, soul self, is based off of the big picture in the grand scheme.
Yeah, it's like total flow and total trust. And
it doesn't really always tell you what's the exact, like what are the exact steps. It's sort of just showing you the end goal. And like, that's just kind of up to you to figure out, you know?
Yeah, and like flow through. And the higher self has higher perspective. It can see all potentials. It can see all potential outcomes, and it knows exactly how to guide you there. We have so many intelligences, not the human mind, but we've like over glorified the intelligence of the human mind and forgotten about the intelligence of the body and of the heart and of the intuition and of the spirit and of life. And that intelligence is one that the minds cannot grasp or understand. So you may not know why you're inspired to do something or offer someone something or connect with someone, but the intuition knows. So trust all of those impulses. They are not illogical or nonsensical. They are your higher self communicating to you and guiding you exactly where it is that you actually want to go.
Totally. Another question I'd like to ask to the records is about manifesting. Okay. And how can we really manifest? I think we hear a lot of different approaches to it. What does it recommend?
They showed creation and how you create. And they showed a sperm and an egg. And they're like, this is how you create. There is the sperm, which is the masculine element, which is one that society has tended to place too much emphasis on, which is doing. It is goal-oriented. It is focused. It is taking appropriate action, taking the steps. That is like us, in a sense, enforcing our will on life. Like life, this is what I want, and this is what I'm doing, and this is where I'm going. And I'm taking these steps, and the sperm swims towards the egg. It like goes. But then we also have to be the egg. The egg sits alone in her throne, so to speak. And we may have been taught in biology classes that the egg plays a passive role, but actually the egg is always emitting these biochemical messengers that tell the sperm to swim and that attract the sperm and that bring the sperm in. So we have to resonate, we have to become the vibrational frequency that can allow for these things that we want to manifest to come to us, to arise within our experience. We have to become a vibrational match to these experiences and be receptive of them, magnetize them in, attract them in, and also, in a sense, take a step back and come into trust. Like, come into trust, just have faith. Don't rush it. Don't place your own timeline on it. Don't have ideas of exactly how it's going to happen. Just keep taking appropriate action, follow your intuition, and at the same time, allow. That's a big part of it. Allow.
I love that. And I totally agree with becoming the vibrational match for that thing that you want. And for people who don't really get what that means, can you offer an example of that?
Yeah. So let's say you want a brand new BMW convertible, and this is what you want to manifest. You have to feel worthy of it. You have to view yourself, perceive yourself as someone who is driving that brand new BMW convertible. You have to offer that type of resonance to the world. So like, who is that person that's driving that BMW convertible? If it's being paid for by you, then how are you offering more value to the world in order to make that money to bring it in? And do you feel like you are offering that value? It's like you're feeling inside, like, do I feel worthy of this? Does this feel like me? And you have to come into alignment with your emotions, with your beliefs, and with your actions in order to create that internal frequency, the vibration, the resonance. Like all the feelings have to align with someone who would be driving a BMW convertible. And you have to inspire that within you before you can draw it in.
Love that. Thank you. And totally, I think what gets in our way of manifesting is then we say we want the BMW convertible, but then when that feeling of someone who has it comes to mind, we think, spoiled, entitled, like then we bring on those, and then we're basically telling to the universe, for me to have a BMW, I have to be spoiled and entitled. Yeah. So it's going to say, well, if you don't think you're spoiled and entitled, then you're not going to have the BMW, right? It's like changing our beliefs of what people with that thing are. Because I think oftentimes we think people with success have done something shady, or they're egotistical or something. It's our own like limiting beliefs on what successful people are like. Does that make sense?
Totally.
You know?
Yes.
That's what it's like, oh, I wish I was making more money. But then when we really sink into how do we feel about like rich people, we're like greedy, more money, more problems, or like, oh, I want to be in a relationship. And when we really sink into that relationship, we're like, that's going to take up all my time. I'm not going to have time for myself anymore. And like, those are actually our beliefs. And that's what's creating the manifestation or lack of.
Yes. Yeah. Exploring, like shaking up everything deep at the bottom of our consciousness, like what is really there that is not allowing us to receive what it is that we say we want to manifest. 'Cause there's always a block if it's not there.
Totally. And with this manifestation, like, does it have any opinions on like Esther Hicks and like that whole approach? Is that coming from the Akashic Records too, or are different soul entities sort of channeling in from a different place?
So this is what they're showing me. I'm not too familiar with Esther Hicks, but I felt like the channel with Esther Hicks was more, it's like, it's one singular message. It's a message that's perhaps not as expansive. It's like one perspective, and it's a very valuable perspective, and it's a perspective that helps to bring balance back to humanity, because humanity has gone too far into just letting life happen to you. And so the Esther Hicks channel they're showing me is showing another side of being more empowered and of making life happen. And of taking total responsibility and honoring life as a mirror. However, the highest truth is that it's a balance of both. It's a balance of both. And there are many other laws besides just the law of attraction. There are like an infinite number of laws here at play. And yes, we are gods incarnated. Yes, we are creators. But at the same time, it's a paradox, because no, we're not. We're also human beings. And we are living life, but we are also being lived by life. It's this tremendous paradox. So when people are channeling, they can channel one entity or a group of entities who all are really like, they're just these teachers who like have this one idea for humanity, like law of attraction. Let's bring that back to humanity, because humanity has forgotten about it completely. But then once you tap into the Akashic Records, it feels like a higher perspective, more aligned with source perspective. So I'll tell you who I'm speaking to, or who we speak to in the records.
Yes.
We speak to the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And they come forward one at a time. They don't show you who's speaking, though, because they don't want you to get caught up in like the celebrity.
So all masters, speakers, and loved ones, or a specific group of them?
Whoever wants to come through.
Of yours, or are these like humanities?
Well, right now I'm speaking to, I opened the records of the Higher Self podcast listeners.
Okay.
Whoever's listening to
So
this.
all of our masters.
Yes.
Okay.
And the masters are these beings who, they're like these ethereal, extremely wise beings who have an extremely high perspective. We as human beings don't necessarily have access to the Akashic Records themselves, because we've bought into this amnesia. We like want to forget so that we can really believe this human experience that we're having. So instead, we speak to the masters, teachers, and loved ones who do have access to the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records is the perspective of source. It's like unconditional love, infinite possibility, and it sees all perspectives at once. The masters, teachers, and loved ones have access to the records, and then they will offer you the perspective that is most relevant, healing, and balancing for you to see. So sometimes for some people, when they come to me for a reading, it's like, if they're a total empath and they're just like merging with everyone all the time, it's like, you're separate. You need to have like boundaries. Like, remember, the skin protects us from the outside world.
Yes.
Like, you need to believe that you are separate and know yourself as separate. But for much of humanity, it's like, you need to remember that you're actually one with all and you're interconnected with all. So it's like, which one is it? Am I separate? Am I one? Both. It's a paradox.
And I feel like we have different soul assignments too, of like really what our lesson is to learn. And for some of us, it's to really learn the oneness. And for some of us, it's to really learn like the uniqueness.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I am one of those souls that needs to learn the uniqueness.
The uniqueness, yeah, same. That's why I'm very attracted to archetype work and like seeing how we're all different and like really understand. I like love that. I've always loved like quizzes, whereas some people it's like it's all about the oneness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like for me it's just not as much of a resonance, but it's like we just have different things, just like the masters, like different things we were meant to teach and learn.
Yeah. So I'll complete that thought. So the masters are these ethereal beings that have extremely high perspective, and they're with you from the inception of your soul.
And were they once human?
No.
Okay.
Teachers could have been human. Masters, no. And so they have been with you from the inception of your soul and will be with you forever through all your incarnations. The teachers are lesson specific. Maybe they've been incarnated, maybe not. And they could be with you for a few minutes while you learn a lesson, or an entire lifetime. And your loved ones are beings that you have incarnated with, who you have a personal relationship with, either from this realm, from like being a human, or from other realms, other ways of incarnating.
Like a family member who passed away?
Yes.
Okay.
And it could be this lifetime or another lifetime. It doesn't have to be a lifetime on this planet necessarily. Those are our loved ones, and they're personally invested in the expansion of our soul. So they come through as well to deliver messages.
So when they say spirit guides, are all three considered spirit guides or just the loved ones?
Just the loved ones, because the masters and the teachers are not really so invested. They have such a high perspective and they view everything as absolutely perfect and divine. So no matter what choice you make, what decision you make, it's like all good to them. Meanwhile, a spirit guide they're like more personally invested in your life and living vicariously through you.
Yeah.
And they might try to manipulate things. They might be like,
for sure.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we want you to do this, we want you to do that.
I'm like, okay, I get it.
Meanwhile, masters and teachers are just offering information when you turn to ask them.
And then what about, mediumship? Like people who channel ones who passed away or channeling spirits. Like, how does that play into this?
Sometimes people who have passed will come to me when it is relevant for the person that I'm doing a reading for to hear from them. It's not necessarily my specialty yet. I've worked with people who that's just what they do. They're not really channeling other beings as much as just channeling, people who have passed on from and who are connected to the person before them, the client before them.
Right. Yeah, I think it's like some people are just more adept with channeling from like higher source beings, which are like Akashic Records and the Ascended Masters, and some are like in that like astral plane, like right above us, and they're really tapped into that plane. So it's really, so the last question I want to ask you that I've gotten from people was how to overcome trauma.
Love. Sometimes in trauma, there are so many different ways of overcoming trauma, and it's so unique to each person. Oftentimes we get caught in these cycles of perpetuating the trauma over and over within our consciousness and feeling like something has gone wrong, that we have been victimized, that we have been hurt, that we've been injured, and that we are injured, and that we are traumatized. And they're saying that anytime this comes into your consciousness, to embrace it, envelop it and yourself and the situation, all of it, the totality of the experience, with unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. And start to shift your stories, the way your talk track, how you speak to yourself about it. Maybe stop telling yourself that you are hurt or injured or traumatized. And it's not that you're not honoring what is real and honoring what has happened. Instead, you are allowing yourself to move into the present moment and then move into the future, and not allowing the traumatic experience to really cage you or have its hold on you. You're stepping away from it and you're setting it free. If you see it from higher perspective, it is easier to imbue it and what has happened, and perhaps the perpetrator, with unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. People who feel they've been traumatized, are just needing to feel love and warmth. They're needing to rekindle their trust in life, their trust in humanity, their trust in themselves. This is a process that we make a commitment to, and then we take steps towards every single day. Get the support that you need. Create a lifestyle that helps you feel so loved and safe and warm, and at the same time cultivate love and safety and warmth for yourself. Acknowledge that it is your responsibility to cultivate love, warmth, and safety for yourself, and at the same time you can wash your hands clean of all responsibility of what has already happened. Sometimes it can help to receive support from others, like professional support. They're just showing it, like loosening it from the consciousness. Sometimes it can get so jammed in there. It can be at the forefront of our minds and in a sense guide our lives. And can you start to feel yourself as free from that trauma? Can you realize that there's more to your life to be lived now? That your future, this present moment, is one of infinite possibility and potential. Sometimes the trauma has to be seen and experienced from many different perspectives through the lens of acceptance and of love before we can fully release it. Forgiveness is so important. Forgiveness of self. Ultimately, all is self. And forgiveness of all involved. Forgiveness of life. It's like traumas sever our relationship to life. We don't feel safe anymore. We feel hurt by life. We feel victimized. We feel like we can't be who we are. And you have to honor that your relationship with life has been severed, it's been damaged, and then take the steps every single day to begin to heal your relationship to life. Know that it is possible, that you can be free from this trauma. Absolutely. You absolutely can. Anything is possible for you. And start to commit to healing it and letting go of the perpetuating the energy of it. It's like amplifying the energy or perpetuating the consciousness around it. See if you can begin to find spaciousness there, and then receive the support that you need to help you create that spaciousness.
So beautiful. And I just love hearing you channel from the Akashic Records, because it's just such a deep resonance in all of us of things that we know. It's like we were born knowing these things, but we just like forget or lose sight or really put our own perspective of, well, they did something wrong to me, and get like stuck in the story. And it feels so refreshing to hear you say it, because it's like, yes, of course, it's all love. So thank you so much for sharing with all of us, all of our Highest Self podcast listeners. And where can people connect with you, learn from you, do a record opening with you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I would love to share with any and all of you. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Love Create Beauty. You can also find me on Facebook. My name is Daniela Gil, 1 L in Daniela and 1 L in Gil. And you can find me at danielagil.co.
Thank you so much. I'll have all those links in the show notes, and we appreciate you and your wisdom and the records as well. So how do we close out the records?
Yes. There's another prayer here.
Yes.
I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their loving compassion. I would like to thank the Lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen.
Oh, I just love Daniela so much. And it's so great to hear her wisdom. And she's just such an offering to this planet, and shines with so much light and subtlety and patience, and is such a great example of, how strong doesn't have to mean forceful, but she's so just deeply connected within herself that just brings you and it draws you in, and she doesn't need to yell and scream and shout. Her wisdom and her power is so framed within her soul that you just feel it. You really feel the vibration. And it's so great to have her on the podcast, and I look forward to having her on again. So don't forget that my live event about the doshas and dharma, how your Ayurvedic dosha, your mind body type, is connected to your dharma, your life purpose, all about finding your big why, the reason why you're here, showing your voice, making your message, becoming a leader in the space. That event will be August 4th in Venice, California. You can get the tickets over on the show notes on Conscious City Guide or on my Instagram bio. And I'm so excited to meet you guys in person because that's why we are all here. We're all here connecting with each other through social media, through podcasts, so we can take these connections into real life. So not only am I excited to meet you guys, but I'm also excited for you all to meet each other and create bonds and create community. And if you're not in my Mind Body Balancer Facebook group yet, please join. It is a free Facebook community that I have that is all of the incredible High Self podcast listeners. And we talk about everything. I mean, I always post up whoever I'm interviewing that week, and I ask you guys to ask questions that I'll ask the guest. And it's super interactive. We talk about self-care. We talk about everything, and it's free to join. So head over to Facebook, Mind Body Balancers. And if you loved this episode, I would love to give you a free gift, which is the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type, which is different from my cookbook, which is coming out October 2nd, called Eat Feel Fresh, which I'll be sharing more about in some future episodes, but it is available on pre-sale or as well. But to get Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type, the first half free, all you got to do is leave a review for the podcast on the iTunes store. You could do it on your phone. You could do it on your desktop. Leave a review and take a screenshot of that review and email it over to me at Sahara, Sahara, at eatfeelfresh.com, and I will send you back within 24 hours the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type. And my upcoming cookbook, totally shot in India, super beautiful, the kind of book you want on your coffee stand forever, is coming out October 2nd, Eat Feel Fresh. I'm going to have more information about that on my website on eatfeelfresh.com. I am sahararose.com. Plenty more recipes, giveaways. I'm creating a street team. So if anyone is interested in joining the street team, head over. I'm going to be having more information about that on my website and on my Instagram. And to be on the street team, you're going to get an unreleased pre-copy of the book before it comes out. And all you got to do is leave a review on Amazon and basically just help blow this book up, get into hands of more people so it can shift the vibration of this planet. And if you loved this episode, let me know in the iTunes reviews. I would love to hear more back from you. Do you want more Akashic Record stuff, or do you still have more questions? Leave a review, let me know. And I'm so excited to host you guys again on the next episode. Namaste.